fucking bitch. Bitch, fuck, man. Fucker. All right. What I'm doing is I am working on a fender for our 1969 Mach 1, which you see in the background right there. Now, this car's been at my shop for going on 7 years. 7 long years. I've worked on this car continuously off and on for 7 years. Do you see what I'm saying? I could have told the lady at any time, look, whoa, I'm not doing it. We're all caught up. This is what I've done to it. You don't owe me no money. Take it. I don't owe you nothing. You don't owe me nothing. Get it out of here. Take it somewhere else. Because every time I turn the corner on this, there's something else wrong with it. Take, for instance, the fender that I'm working on. This is a factory OEM, factory original 1969 fender. Now, this tab had busted off, and I got to clean all that up. When I clean that up, it'll look nice. But this tab broke off, and it was broken off when I got the car because this piece right here was actually, you can see the 2 little holes here were screwed on there, and then they made their own little tab to make it work and try to get it to where it would actually hold something. This is bullshit. This is a galvanized piece of sheet metal that was probably off an old gutter, and they bent it over and they had it pop riveted on here. All right, on the inside it was like this, and then that's what they had in there. So what I'm doing is I'm actually taking the pattern from this fender right here, all right, and I went ahead and made the piece, and you can see it looks pretty fucking close to what we got right here. Now, this is a time-consuming job, all right? Just because you're looking at a little piece of metal that's about as big as one of my fingers here, that doesn't mean that it is a easy fucking job. That's taken approximately an hour to do that, and then, of course, I had to weld these holes up, which were very small holes and turned into bigger holes when I started welding. But that's not all we did. I want to show you something else. If you look back here, you can see a piece that I welded in. If you look right here on top of the front of the fender, now this is our front of the fender right here. This is our, of course, our right-hand side fender. You can see that I welded a hole up. It was an oblong hole that was in the fender. And the reason that was in the fender is because if you look at this fender right here, this fender came from the factory with this hole. All right, this is a factory cut hole, and this fender is actually a 1970 model fender. On a 1969 Mach 1, it didn't have the marker lights on the top here. It had them on the bottom where the lower valance was, and they were right on the end of where the bumper came around. So whoever fucked with this car last had put this fender on the car, all right? And then here's something else I want you to look at. Look at this shit right here. Take a good look at that versus this right here. This is the factory bucket. This is the factory setup that you have on these 1969 fenders. What happened is that this 69 fender setup right here, this is our extension with our headlights, okay? This situation will not fit in the 1970 situation, so the solution these guys had was to go ahead and cut a big hole out in the fender and just bolt the fucking thing together. Which really, in reality, that would not even fucking work possibly. I don't know how they had the fucking fender bolted onto the car and actually holding itself, because if you look at the box right here, you see this tab. this tab right here bolts to these two bolts right here, these two slide-on nuts, okay? This is where that tab bolts on to hold the front of the fender to the car. So by eliminating that box and not doing nothing to actually make it work, actually fucked the car up worse, and this fender became useless. It's a pile of shit, and it's basically a piece of junk when they could have kept that fender, and it possibly would be worth a lot of money due to the fact that it's a factory OEM Mach 1 1970 fender, but now, of course, it's not worth a fucking dime. So the point that I'm getting at is the point of saying, where do you stop when you start something? Where do you stop, and when is it time to say enough is enough, I'm not doing it no more? I'm gonna give you that answer, and you're gonna listen real close, because you're that fucking guy that gives up all the time. You're that fucking guy that's the loser. All right, you start something, you never fucking finish it, you put it on the back shelf, that's where it stays, and then people think you become a hoarder because you got all these projects and all this shit sitting in your back closet hiding that you started years and years ago and never finished. I'm gonna tell you where you finally say enough is enough. And that saying is when you are done with what the fuck you start in life. Because if you can't finish something that you start, you should have never fucking started it in the first place, and all you are is a peanut fucking dick, loser ass pile of shit for even trying to take on something that you should be able to use your fucking brain, take your time, ponder over it when you run into problems, and finish the fucking thing out. Plain and simple. When I first picked this Mustang up, this started out as a paint job. We didn't look at it thoroughly because I knew the lady personally from previous jobs in my shop, and I really didn't want to charge her a lot of money due to the fact that she lost her husband. Her husband died on her, and this was a car that he was going to restore for her as a gift. So I was giving her a buddy deal from the beginning on this car, and that's where all this started. It started out as a paint job. It ended up as a on-frame concourse style restoration 7 years later. And we're still, you can see this, we're still not done with it, because every time I turn a corner, I find something new and unusual that has to be fixed, such as this right here. This is a piece here that had busted out. This is a common situation on these 6970 Mustangs, that this tab, the factory tab, breaks off because these are pot metal. And then somebody has taken this and has bolted it on there very obscurely and what can we say? Obviously, there you go. And it looks like shit. It is not a restoration at all. Even though the bumper comes up to here and it covers all this, all right, that is some shitty fucking work. So of course, naturally, to save the lady, Mustang Charlotte, some money, I'm trying to fix everything as possible that I can without buying anything. Because if I buy brand new headlight buckets, fender extensions for this car, those are going to be around $700 for a set. They're going to be aftermarket parts, and they aren't going to fucking line up. I'm actually curious if this thing here is going to line up right there. If it's going to line up, I'm thinking, there it is right there. I'm thinking that this thing was hanging on that fender real shitty, and I'm going to have to buy one of those anyway. But I will get on eBay to buy it as a used original OEM manufactured part than I will an aftermarket pile of shit. We ended up replacing both quarter panels on this car. Part of the inner fender wells on the front end here had to be replaced, sections of it, to make the hood work. This thing has been in through a ringer, front and back. We found rust on the deck lid, which I'm in the process of fixing. The doors had serious rust in them. And the back end of the car had been rear end collisioned and filled with about 7 inches of fucking Bondo. But did I give up? Did I fucking give up and say no? No, I didn't. I stuck to my guns. I'm finishing the fucking job. And she will have the car of her dreams that her husband left behind for her. Because that is her dream. And I committed myself to doing something, whether it's somebody's dream or whether it's something that I'm doing for myself, to have the positive fucking attitude and finish the fucking job to the end. So starting something in life can be a beast of burden on your shoulders, and also giving a man or a woman your word to do something can also be a beast of burden, and have a monkey slinging on your back until that burden is gone. But you can't be a loser, you can't be a fucking quitter, and you definitely cannot go back on your word to be a ruthless piece of shit and dishonest in the world that we live in today. Because if you do that, you are just putting yourself in the category of everybody else. So you, the guy, or you, the girl that's watching this fucking video, and all you are is a piece of shit and a loser, and you never fucking accomplish anything in life, and you never get ahead, and you're always behind on everything, I'm gonna fucking tell you right now, listen real close, you're not. You are not that person. You have only let yourself down so many times to make you believe that you are that person. All it takes is to get in that closet and clean it out, throw it in the trash, and start over to become somebody in life besides what you're doing now. This is Pete, my friend Pete, your friend Pete, finishing a job because it's in my heart that once I start something, I finish it, and also giving people dreams that they've always wanted in life. Don't be a fucking quitter, because you will be the loser, and you will train yourself to be the fucking loser that you are now. We'll see you later.